So I just got a question from the audience here on the live stream. Curious George asks, Eisel, how is it being an intellectual that likes hip hop? I imagine you probably get a lot of scoffs from your pretentious peers. No, I don't. So it's an interesting question. The answer may surprise you. So most recently, academically, I've been involved with Asian studies. And actually, I think every single one of the professors I talked about it with, because it did come up. Actually, I mean, one of the professors, just because he had a deep intellectual respect for me, he sat down and he really asked. He asked, what kind of music do you listen to? Just for that reason. There was no context. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a situation where music was a natural part of the conversation or something. He really wanted to know in terms of getting to know me and so on. So I'm 38 years old. Some of these professors are as old as, say, 55. But people who are 55 now, they've already grown up with hip-hop being a dominant force in American culture, in Western culture, and in world culture. And I guess the type of people I dealt with in a field like Asian studies or a field like anthropology, I think a lot of them respected my engagement with hip-hop just because they saw it as me making an effort to overcome a cultural barrier. Probably to generalize, that's maybe the most basic or fundamental thing there. Like in the same way that they might just respect someone who made the effort to go to Laos and learn to speak Laotian, just to overcome that barrier, to really be involved with what's going on in Laos, to care about the history and the politics and the language. Just the fact that it is crossing a cultural line maybe makes them respect it. But I mean, other than that, most of these professors, most people around me, even if they're fully 55 years old, I think most of them, all of them have listened to rap music, have listened to hip-hop to some extent. And I guess all of them always wondered how their lives would be different if they made more of an effort to really understand what was going on in rap. Because you can listen to it passively, or you can try to get more involved, try to follow what's going on in hip-hop music. And, even to understand, even take the time to Google some of the obscure cultural references in rap lyrics. We all do that, okay? It is not just white people who need to Google bizarre cultural and historical allusions in rap music. We all Google rap lyrics. All of us, no matter where you're from. I don't care if you grew up in the grottiest ghetto in Chicago. You have used Google to look up something around. Maybe not the slang. Maybe you get all the slang terms like phoneme. But I just got phoneme recently. But anyway, I mean, if you listen to Wu-Tang, there are historical and political allusions and all this stuff. So no, I mean, it's a great question. That has really not been my experience. And I guess, the only contrast to that would be, what would the attitudes of the Buddhist intellectuals have been? From a Buddhist perspective, I mean, Buddhism is 100% anti-drug, 100% anti-alcohol, and 100% anti-violence. So the fact that so much rap music revolves around those things, I mean, again, I never had a Buddhist step to me about that or even ask me about it or want to talk about it. But I mean, I guess for me, from my perspective, I don't feel like I'm listening to music that celebrates something I disapprove of. You know what I mean? That for me isn't a problem with rap music as an art form. In the same sense, you can be a big fan of Shakespeare, but you don't approve of sword fights. Come on, people. How many stabbings are there in Hamlet? We think of Hamlet as this great work of literature, but when it really comes down to it, a large part of Hamlet is about sword fighting. It's about knife fights between bored noblemen. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, in my life, I haven't felt that contradiction at all. And to quote the question, the pretentious intellectuals around me, maybe it's significant that they all could respect that. But look, I mean, at the end of the day, the bottom line, the last thing to say on this is, rap music as an art form, it's not hard to appreciate why it's meaningful or why it's moving to the people who listen to it. And by contrast, something like abstract painting, it may be very, very difficult for an outsider to appreciate why it's meaningful or why it's moving to you. Why this painting that doesn't depict anything, that's just a bunch of colors on a canvas. Even science fiction. Why is Star Trek so meaningful and so moving to the people who care about it? It's not to me. I'm not a Star Trek fan. For an outsider, they don't get what are these people connecting to. But a lot of rap music, even if you can't understand all the lyrics, there's a song by RZA, R-Z-A, RZA. I guess I can give a link. There's a song by RZA that's called Grits, G-R-I-T-S. I'll give a link below this video. Even if you understand only 25% of the lyrics, everything about that song, it's obvious why it means so much to the people recording it. It's obvious why it means so much to people paying to buy the album, back in the days when people paid to buy albums. It's obvious why there'd be an audience who cares about it, listens to it, and responds to it, even if you aren't a part of that audience, even if you don't have the response. So yeah, that's it, man. That's the surprising answer to that question. I've never had problems with the other intellectuals in my life disrespecting me for that. And the women in my life, most of them, they also listen to rap music.